Hi, sweet friend. Welcome to our show.
Just one? There's just one friend today?
Yes, I'm speaking to whoever the friend is that is watching. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our watercolor happy hour. I'm Voltan, the artist behind Color Snack, and this is my husband Dan. He is the husband behind Color Snack, and also the in-house mixologist and chef and all the things. So tell us about today's cocktail. I'm really excited because it's going to be so fun to paint with watercolors, but I bet you're more excited
Yes.
to actually make it.
Yes. So, of course, watercolor happy hour. It's a fun Wednesday date night thing. I get to make a cocktail. I get to enjoy the cocktail. Volta gets to paint it. Whoever wants to play along is welcome to. Plus, I get to spend a lot of time rambling about whatever cool cocktail I'm into at the moment. Today, we're doing something that I felt like this was a good mix. So I started researching the combination of mezcal and carrot. So I knew that mezcal is kind of a sweet and smoky alternative to tequila. In fact, it tastes about as much like tequila as bourbon and scotch. Sure, they have similar ingredients, but they're made completely differently. So yes, do not associate mezcal and tequila. They do not work in the same ingredients. Mezcal has this ancient type of recipe. It actually is very similar to scotch, just with made with agave plants.
Yeah.
Not necessarily blue agave. So tequila has to be blue agave. Mezcal just can be agave, but it's stone ground and then smoked, then aged, bottled into all the various types of mezcal. That's also why it tends to be a bit more expensive. After extensive research and questioning of any bartender that had mezcal behind the bar, they landed on Illegal. Did I say it correctly?
Yeah, illegal.
Yes, Illegal. And it was from the Joven region, or Hoven, or is it
Hoven.
Joven? Hoven. Yeah, sorry. Young, Hoven. It's from the Hoven, so it's you see a lot of them from that area. This one right here is very lightly aged. You can see just a bit of color in it, but you can get older, similar to a tequila. There's Sato or Neho, which is kind of dark, and then this one we're gonna make. And before I forget, as I'm rambling because I knew I was forgetting something, I found the inspiration of this cocktail on the Splendid Table. It was inspired by a cocktail called Desert Sunset, which was originally mixed by Chad Haig, probably Haig, like the museum.
Yeah.
Chad Haig of Chicago's Longman and Eagle. We're making some variations on it, but yes, thank you, Chad.
Right.
You made a delicious cocktail.
Carrots?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never had a carrot cocktail before.
Well, today you are.
Today's the day.
So we'll start.
It's like you're getting your veggies and your cocktail. Your veggies and your booze.
It's like a salad. You don't even need to eat anything else.
Yeah, it's basically great dinner.
What are we doing today? We're drinking dinner. Yes. So to start, we're just going to take our lime and we are going to rim our glass. Glass makes some liquid to stick this mixture of salt and smoked paprika. That smoked paprika gives a little more smokiness to an already smoky cocktail, but it also gives a cool effect around the rim. Now, not just salt, like you see in a margarita, but also a little color. A little jazz it up. Yeah, I like to be fancy. Put that guy aside, and we'll begin to mix our cocktail. We are going to start with 2 ounces of our mezcal. There's going to be a lot of ice in this cocktail, so you want, and Carrot juice is quite strong, so we're going 2 ounces instead of a more traditional 1.5. I like it to stand up to it. Yep, 2 ounces mezcal. Yeah. Do that. We're also going to add 2 ounces of carrot juice. The original recipe calls for freshly squeezed or freshly ground carrot juice. I'm not about to do that. That's a lot of work. That is a whole lot of work. 1 ounce of orange juice.
Background music, but you guys
we did. That's why it's so quiet.
just pretend there's some background music in the background.
Do this so everybody else can listen along with us. Hey Google, play upbeat instrumental jazz. Now everyone else that's watching along is going to have that happen to them too. You're all welcome. So one of the ways that this recipe is varied, aside from the garnish, we're using a strong honey syrup as opposed to an agave syrup. There's already an agave flavor in there. Agave is a little harder for some people to get a hold of, but also honey and carrot complement each other really well, and it adds just a little bit of complexity to this, and it's also not quite as sweet. I cut that down a bit from, I want to say the recipe called for an ounce. I use about 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup, and then it also called for, I think, a full ounce of lime. Again, I never use that much in my recipes. It just makes things way, way, way too tart. So we're just going to do about a 1/2 ounce, maybe a little less. That's it. Like that. Raise it up. Just incorporate all those ingredients. Okay. Would be a nice and full iced glass. Good. We can always add a little more in a moment. Use our fresh ice. Pour our pretty orange cocktail on top of it.
I love it. Oh, this is like a perfect brunch cocktail.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like the sister to the Bloody Mary or something.
Yeah, there is. What was it called?
It would be more savory, right? Than sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely on the savory side, but not quite as savory as a Bloody Mary. There's a name for one. It's called, shoot. There is a variation. It's basically a Bloody Mary with carrot juice. But here's one of the big modifications in the garnish. I've seen a few other carrot cocktails use this, and I just think it's such a cool look. You just take a big peel of carrot. Let's not knock over the mezcal. A big peel of carrot. Maybe another one. Maybe another one. Then you just take them and you fold them up. You make sort of a fan fold ribbon.
Thank you so much, Tiffany and David. So the cocktail is not going to be sweet. It's going to be more on like a savory side.
Yeah, but carrot juice is a little sweet, so it's not going to be a straight up like I don't know,
like an appletini or something.
Yeah,
or, I don't know what
a strong. Yeah, well, Cosmo is pretty sweet. Appletini is very sweet, but it's not going to be like a like a martini.
Yeah.
Or an old fashioned.
So cool.
And then the effect that you get on the top when you look down in it is this cool ribbon-like effect of the carrot. And then we're just going to take some sprigs of mint.
So I think the way I painted it, I had a circle of rosemary around the glass.
We did a completely different cocktail.
Yeah, rosemary I feel like could work as a garnish.
Oh yeah, rosemary totally
Yeah.
would. All of them would.
Okay.
And then we want to take a straw. Green. We have a green top straw. Perfect. So we're just going to put it through one of those ribbons, and boom. There you have it. I believe this was called the Desert Sunset originally, which still works. I'll get that right. From Chad Haig. Make sure that I didn't mispronounce it. Yes, Desert Sunset.
Desert Sunset.
Desert Sunset remixed a bit. Not Chad Haig. Now just taste it.
Dan, you're absolutely right. He said, I think I'm going to be using a lot of red and yellow in this evening's painting. Yes. Definitely the orange is going to be very prominent in our painting.
It's just, that is a unique cocktail. I haven't really tried one like it before. It's not.
Oh my gosh, guys. This is so good.
Oh, I love it.
This is so good. This is like perfect for like a hot summer brunch. Oh, yeah.
Yes, you know when Volta takes 2 sips.
Yeah, when you take 2 sips, you know it's really good. But it has like, so I think the mezcal is a little too smoky for me on its own, but when you add it in a cocktail and like make it delicious, you know, I like it.
Yeah, because I mean the garnish, both the smokiness on the outside and the mint, just gives it a little extra. And the carrot, and you can probably, if you're really brave, drink it through all the stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little challenging because of all the garnish, but
that actually works. No, yeah. So try that. That way you get some of the paprika, and it pours through the raw carrot.
Yeah, it is definitely a great, refreshing summer drink.
Yeah,
and I think right now we could all use
a little refreshment.
Some refreshment. All right, guys, I'm so excited to paint this. This is like when I painted the sample photo illustration, I was really excited.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I forgot to mention though what I was excited about, that we finally have a good setup.
Yeah, we do.
Did you notice the little thing in the corner? Volta's book over there. We just came back from her book launch a few days ago.
Thank you, sweet friends.
Yes, and now I can, instead of having to mess with the application that she was using, I can just hit the transition button, boom, and transition right to her table. Ooh, so fancy. Yes, I can. I can see your Cookies by Krista, too. Yes.
All right, but are you going to paint with us, Dan?
Oh, yes, sure. I was just admiring the setup.
Oh,
I'm just being so proud of myself. Oh, hold on. They probably can't hear you, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a little better.
Okay.
All right, here you go. And a brush pen for you as well. Oh, maybe you could paint on the over there so that you could have access to my watercolor sheets.
Oh, good thinking.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get started by. Can we see the comments if we turn it around?
Oh yeah.
Just in case people have questions.
There you go.
Oh, awesome! Thank you so much for letting us know. Let's see.
Yeah, Dane said, one drinks a drink featuring a carrot. Does it make it a healthy beverage?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, Dane, tell your friend it does, because that's what I consider it to be.
All right, so we're gonna get started with, again, it's one of those tall glasses. What are they called? These glasses have a name?
Collins glass.
Collins glasses, yeah.
You could also call it a highball glass.
Ball, yes. So essentially there are 2 parallel lines, and then we have a curve at the bottom that connects these. So I'm gonna start by sketching out just like a rough shape of the glass. So I've got 2 parallel lines. And
You've got a question, Volta, on the weight of paper.
Oh yes, actually, Dan, you're very close to the watercolor paper over there, the blue
Oh,
on the counter, and I can actually show it to people.
yeah, this time.
Such a great question, Dane. So I'm using this brand called Canson Watercolor XL. I love this brand because it's not like super expensive, but it's also not the cheapest one, so the quality is really great. And I like when I do workshops or even when I do food illustrations for clients, I use this type of paper because it has like a really nice smooth surface, and for food illustration, it's really nice to have that.
But he was asking about the weight of the
Oh,
paper.
sorry, the weight. Oh my gosh. Okay, the weight is 140 pounds.
Yes, I remember last time, or last session, you
Yeah.
had a really good answer about which weight to use. Like you didn't want to.
Yeah.
140 was kind of a good.
I would
I'm
say,
working on stuff.
yeah, at least like definitely don't go below 120. I mean, just 140 is kind of the standard weight for like a good quality watercolor paper.
And then if you were doing like a gallery piece, it would be a higher weight. Or
Yeah, there are like 300-pound water like super thick watercolor papers, but those are definitely going to be a lot more expensive.
or
All right, so I have my two parallel lines, and then I connected them by sketching out a curve, and I'm gonna do another one just kind of at the top so that you can see that like glass portion of the glass. All right, and then I'm gonna do another kind of curve at the top that connects these two lines here. And let's see, I'm actually going to extend these lines just a little bit and sketch another curve that's like parallel to this one right here.
Dane is acknowledging your weight, and he's saying 300 pounds is lots of money.
Yes. Thank you for those wonderful questions. Okay, so we have this whatchamacallit, curve. And then so we're gonna do the fold of the carrots. That's essentially gonna be kind of like a little ribbon effect, that's or a line that is gonna go up and down, kind of like curving around itself. So just like a wiggly line to show a little bit of that fold. Just to kind of give the impression that there's like some garnish in there. And then I'm gonna add a straw to the right side. And that's gonna be like two parallel lines and then a little circle or little oval at the top. And then so in this cocktail, I made a little rosemary kind of garnish, and I think I'm gonna keep it because I really like how that looks. Dan, no offense to the mint garnish that you used, which I think like mint totally works, but I think rosemary would also work with this cocktail because it's kind of like on the savory side.
Yeah, it would be hard to get rosemary to stick to the rim like that.
Oh, if you make it a circle?
Oh, you're talking about like making the whole sprig of rosemary
Yeah.
into a circle and laying it on the top.
Yeah, that's what it looks
I
like.
got you.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I did, Dan.
Yeah, that's what I did. So,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna like gently kind of or lightly sketch out just this sprig of rosemary, and then I'll add the details with watercolor actually, just to kind of orient myself with these lines that have rosemary's gonna go here. This is the little like curved up wobbly ribbon, and we're pretty much ready to paint now. Let's see, I'm gonna use my water brush pen for this sketch, and I'm using again my watercolor sets called Viviva. So they're actually color sheets, but they're super saturated in color, and I love using them because they're so portable and just like fun little pocket size sets. All right, so I'm going to start by using the wet on wet technique, meaning that I'm going to add a layer of water first, inside of the glass. So I'm just painting with water now. I squeeze like a couple of droplets of water inside of the shape. And I'm just going to kind of fill it all in. And how do you know if you have enough water? So if it's glistening, kind of like this, that's a pretty good amount. If it's dripping with water, I'd recommend grabbing a tissue paper or paper towel and just dabbing it off, because that might be a little bit too much water and your painting might drip. And then, if you don't see that glisten, probably not enough of water. So you want to just kind of experiment and see, how many like droplets of water come out of your brush pen, for example, if you're using the same tool as I am.
Or it could make your wonderful 140-pound paper all wrinkly.
Yeah, that's true. If you make add too much water. All right, so for this one, the colors I'm using, it's actually, this color is called Saffron in this set, but it's essentially like a very concentrated deep orange. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that on my brush, and I'm going to use this mixing area. So immediately you see like it's so saturated. I just grab a little bit and it's very, very, very concentrated. So I'm grabbing some of that and adding it, just dropping in this color on the right-hand side. Add a little bit more. So going directly from this color sheet, just dropping it in. You'll notice the colors are going to start to spread into the shape, and that's because we added a layer of water first. So that gives it that soft watercolory look. And let's see, before this area dries, I want to add just a little bit of, this color is called Happy Yellow, which I really like that name. But essentially any yellow that you have in your palette, just grab a little bit and drop that in right next to your orange, and then it'll create like a really nice color transition between the super saturated orange and the yellow. Let's see, I'm going to just fill this in. Then I'm going to clean off my brush, and right before it dries, I want to lift off a highlight on this glass. So I'm dragging down my brush pen, and then I'm cleaning it off on my towel. But essentially, I'm just lifting off some color so that I can have this nice highlight. So my light source is coming from the left-hand side. Oh, sorry, Dan. What are you?
Oh, there's the yellow.
Yeah, happy yellow. There you go. Yeah. So my light source is coming from this direction, so that's why I have a nice like little highlight here, and then I'm going to do a cast shadow that's going to be on the opposite side. Let's see, is sheets your preferred? So I like a lot of different watercolor sets. Just happen to use this one because I like that it's so convenient, and I can just grab it with me to do these lives. But it's really, I recommend you experiment with different watercolor sets, because it's so fun, at least for me, to purchase a lot of different ones. I definitely have a list of recommended ones, so I can happy to share the PDF of my recommended art supplies. David, if you just want to send me a message on LinkedIn, I'm happy to send that to you. So let me see, I'm going to now go back to my saffron, or the orange color that I've been using. And I'm going to grab a little bit and I'm going to dilute it with some water. So I'm just going to add a couple of droplets because I don't want it to be super concentrated or dark in value. I want it to be a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to paint this, the folds of the carrot garnish. I'm just going to I'm adding like a very much lighter layer of that. And a little bit, just kind of filling in space here, but also leaving some blank space for the rosemary sprig. But I'm gonna let this area dry for now before I add those details that make the folds look a little bit more pronounced. All right, so while that is drying, let's see. So this particular set doesn't have a gray color, but I'm gonna mix my own gray. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of, let's see, this midnight blue that is in this palette. It's like a very dark blue. And I'm gonna add a little bit of orange to it. Saffron orange. Okay. And together they're gonna end up looking kind of like, give us a little bit of a muddy color, but it's gonna be a nice kind of gray to use for the cast shadow if you don't have a gray in your palette, for example. To just add a little, like a thin line to the side, underneath the glass and to the side, and then I'm gonna clean off the brush and going to soften the edge with a clean brush. So that way we have like a soft, like looks like a natural cast shadow. And then let's see, I'm gonna use a little bit of this midnight blue, but I'm gonna dilute it with a lot of water. And I'm gonna use that to paint a couple of like these details on the glass. So a couple of like lines, so as if there's some shadows in there, just to give the impression of some shapes in there so it doesn't look super blank. Let's see. And then I'm gonna probably use the same blue to add a little bit of a shadow on the straw. So I want the straw to have a similar highlight as it does on the glass, so that it matches, because essentially, the light source is hitting both of those objects in that way. So now I can, let's see, I'm gonna pick a green. So this foliage green looks like a nice green we could use for the rosemary. And I'm gonna just dilute it with a little bit of water so it's not super heavy in the value. And then I'm going to outline the rosemary sprig, and then for the little leaves, they're just gonna be like little tiny brush marks that represent those little the leaves that you see on a rosemary sprig. So they're essentially like little tiny specks. Make sure it goes all the way around the glass, like this. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. But this area right here has already dried, where I did the garnish of the carrot peel, right? Is it carrot peel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab
a carrot strip or ribbon.
Ribbon, yeah, carrot ribbon.
Peel implies that it's left over.
Right, but that's not the case here. All right, so I'm gonna just grab a little bit of saffron.
We've got a question on how long do the color sheets typically last?
So that's a very good question. I have not gone through a whole set to be able to answer that. But I would say they will probably last a long time, because you only use a little bit at a time, and you can add a lot of water and dilute the colors, and so
Yeah, you've used the heck out of that set.
Yeah, I've been using this.
Which
But
one's the green?
the foliage green.
Foliage green.
Yeah.
Conveniently named.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately I can't say because I've not like just exclusively used these sets for painting. But typically with watercolors, you know, it can get expensive to buy or invest in really nice supplies. But do remember that even like a small tube can last, I mean, a year or more because depending on how often you use it. But really with watercolor, like you just need like a little dab of color and then it will last you a very long time. And the beauty of it is that when the watercolor paints dry, all you need is a little bit of water and you get to reactivate them. So there's no waste. For example, with acrylics or oils, I believe oils take a really long time to dry, um, but yeah, I don't know if you can reactivate them in that way as you do with watercolors. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of that saffron and just gonna add some like darker spots so that you can see like this, the ribbon has some folds. Yeah. Let's see, do you have any other questions? What is the brush you're using? Okay, so this brush is called a water brush pen. This particular brand is Pentel. I really love these because again, they're convenient, kind of like I would say like these go really well together with these color sheet sets because you can just put them in your pocket and go like travel or go outside and paint or on your balcony or while you're watching a movie. Like it's super convenient. I personally also use these when I do live painting events because I just fill up like 5 of these brush pens and I don't have to worry about muddy water or, you know, accidentally like knocking over a jar of water, which has happened to me. So I just like I think they're so convenient. And another thing that I like about these brush pens, wow, I feel like I should be sponsored by Pentel at this point.
I personally don't like them.
Oh,
I know you love them. You're
yeah.
like the only person that can make these things work. Or maybe it's just my big hands. I'm always squeezing too much water out.
Oh, you just need to
of them.
squeeze a little bit.
Well, no, like I keep squeezing it while I'm painting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely don't squeeze on them while you're painting.
No.
But I do like these. The bristles are very pointy, and when I'm doing like detail work on food illustration, I much prefer these over like the traditional watercolor brushes because they're very soft and it's really hard to get like detailed stuff done with these. See, I'm cooking while watching you guys, and now I really want a carrot mezcal. Oh, dang! You have to try this. It's such a lovely beverage. Like it's probably one of my favorite, one of the most favorites that we've done, um, since we started this whole show.
Take that
Yeah,
compliment.
yeah, because it's very tasty. Let's see. Do you have any other questions? How do you decide to premix a color versus mix it while applying to the artwork itself? Great question. I would say it really depends on your preference, and like the more you paint, the more you'll kind of have a feel for, you know, oh, this area like would look really cool if I just mix 2 colors together. For example, you can see here I mixed, you know, I started with the orange, but then I dropped in some yellow and it created like a nice, really nice watercolor kind of texture, very flowy, very organic. So if you're going for this type of look, definitely like you'd want to mix your colors, you know, on the paper. But if you want to have a solid wash, so it's kind of, for example, since I have this for reference. So on this avocado, you see the green is very uniform. So that means like I mix my color on the palette and then I applied it on that area, and it created like a very consistent wash of watercolor. So there are no such kind of like elements like here, which for me, like I prefer this kind of look. It just depends on like my mood, but I like the way that you just get happy accidents. Like literally Bob Ross was a genius when he said that, because with watercolors, like these happy accidents is what makes the whole experience like more fun, because you get to be surprised every single time. uh, Dan wants to see your version, Dan, of the painting.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, very proud of your use of color, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job.
Oh,
I
thank
even
you.
like your folds better than mine, honestly, because they're more pronounced and they look more like a water or like a ribbon.
That's just because I could take my time on them while you were answering questions.
Thank you. Yeah, the only note I would have, some notes, is maybe just like softening this cast shadow a little bit more, because it's a little too harsh. But other than that,
how do I stop this? So see
Yeah.
how it dries and there's like weird edges like here and here and here?
yeah.
What causes that?
So that means like an area of your paper dried faster than the other. So the way to prevent that is to, like, say you're going back to add, say you just want to add a little bit of color on this one area, right? But the other side has already dried. So you have to extend and like wet the entire area so that it dries uniformly.
Oh.
So that's kind of, and sometimes like if you don't like these, so with a clean brush, you can come in and you can soften some of these marks that you are not happy with, like by just using your brush and like going over them in like a circular motion. So you're essentially like softening those edges and making them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Great question. What a great teaching opportunity.
I'm full of those mistakes to make teaching opportunities.
People love ours.
Thanks, Danny.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Oh no. Yeah, if you watch this stream, I get some notes from Volta every single time.
That's like our thing, some notes.
Some notes.
But I will say the some notes have decreased since you've been painting along with me.
Yeah.
So
it started because it was your awkward way of saying that it was a terrible painting. Like, oh, some notes.
Constructive notes.
Well, it's worked. I've improved.
Yeah. All right, guys. So are we gonna switch the camera?
Yeah, I can switch the camera now that I can do it with a mouse click.
Yes. Oh my gosh, thank you everyone so much for joining us tonight. We are experimenting with a new setup in
transition. Yeah. Transition button, fade to black, fade in, fade out.
Wait, go back to StreamYard.
What? Oh, it's in. Oh yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
And even though the mic is like in the way.
Oh, well.
Okay.
There's some growing pains.
There's some growing pains, but I think this is This is
definitely better.
A little better than last time.
An improvement.
Yeah.
Yes, a process. Exactly.
So where's the cocktail? Did you already drink it?
I did not. No, I drank some of it.
Cheers.
Yes. Well, everyone.
No, I'm really excited to drink this.
To drink
Now that we
yes.
paint today, now we get to enjoy it.
Well, I can make another. We have the material. That's right.
Yeah. But thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope you give this cocktail a try. It's so delicious and very refreshing.
Yeah, you don't even like smoky stuff.
No, that's like it all by itself. I don't like mezcal. Not a fan. But you made it like you made the cocktail like play with the, I don't know, ingredients. It's a great combination.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I make drinks better than I paint them.
Yeah, yes.
But it's a process.
But you're also learning watercolors along, so yeah. All right.
Well,
Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week with a new cocktail. If you guys have any recommendations or any ideas of what we should do next, I always welcome those because, the one rule though, it has to be pretty, like colorful. I'm not a fan of like clear cocktails because there's not a lot to paint there. So
yeah, let me make a martini for you guys and paint it in like 2 seconds.
yeah. Thank you so much. All right, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. All right, end broadcast. Guys, it's so